Hi, welcome back to the another episode of developing application with Flutter. So in the previous week, we have seen the application development. What is a multi-platform and cross-platform, and also we have seen about what is Flutter and how Flutter achieves a cross-platform application. And also we have further shared about the topic of project called AirBridge, which we are going to develop and further. In today's session, I hope in the title itself, you peoples will know what we are going to see. In the previous live, I have shared, and also I have shared a knowledge how the AirBridge application is going to be developed, and also I have shared my screen about that AirBridge application structure and the infrastructure. What is about what kind of backend we are going to use, and what are the other things we are going to use. I have shared the two. So, and also I have said that some things like what is the discussions and what is the ideations and where the ideations I get from, and how I got that coding, like these at all we have seen in the previous live about this AdBridge application project idea. In this live we are going to see, and we are going to make our hands dirty in the coding, because we have in the previous video the most thing we have in the talkative manner. But today in this live we are going to see about some coding and also some technical aspects of the backend. So this is what today's live is going to be. Okay, so I hope you people have a better idea about what we are going to see today. The primary backend we have taken is that Node.js. We have taken the Node.js as a backend and Express.js for the backend to make APIs, which is going to be a RESTful API. So, and further, we have integrated a lot of things into the backend resource, and I will share the code to you peoples and how it works and other things too. Let me share my screen. Let me share my screen. The entire screen. Okay, good. Okay. I hope you people can see my screen. Yeah, okay. Here. Okay. This is the backend code. Here we have used the Node.js as a backend and Express to create APIs for it, application programming interface for that. Let me show once again the infrastructure, and also we can see the flow diagram and what are the backends we are going to use and what are the technology we have included over here. So you people will have a better glance about this. Okay, good. So this is the thing we have. Okay, so you can see for the project extract we have used Flutter Node.js. For the Node.js to create a server backend, and also we have used the Websocket. The primary usage of Websocket is to make an internal server within a client to make, or else to make the possibilities to share the files between the devices. This is what the ideations, because I have gone through some of the GitHub repositories about this topic called file sharing in the Flutter, and I got the one of a person's repository which is mentioned as local send. But in that case, they have used a Rust based backend. But here we are going to use a Node.js with the WebSocket. I think WebSocket will be the efficient one to share files between the local devices. That's why we have chosen the WebSocket. But and also one of the important thing we need to make in mind, even though we have the WebSocket to share files between the devices, I think we need a database to handle that metadata from the backend. Like for example, if we have devices, we have multiples of devices, device A, device B, sharing the information, sharing the files. So we have these data. The what kind of metadata we are going to be included in the MongoDB database? So we are going to include the device informations, like for example the device ID, port ID, and also device address, local address. So these things we are going to share. These things we are going to be stored inside the MongoDB. This is called as metadata of devices. And also we can consider this to be a registered device, and this metadata will be stored inside MongoDB. So why we need to use this MongoDB here? Because we have a lot of other SQL based databases, like we have PostgreSQL, MySQL, and other stuff too. But for the easy integration and ease of use case, I have choose the MongoDB because it is like unstructured one. We can make the structure to according to our schema. So it is our applications also the likewise we don't need an SQL base to make the table structure and like a traditional one. If we scale this application to a large number of huge number of users, we can switch this. But right now this is just an ideation. This is an idea. So I'm going to use this MongoDB as a database. Further, we are using this EC2 instance and also the AWS S3 for the cloud storage. I will show you the code and I will say how it's going to be done. Good. Going to be done. Okay. So this is the project backend source code I'm showing here. We have implemented a lot of files for the route and other things. Let's start from how to create this project, and we will move what are the things essential needs to be done inside this project. First of all, we need to create the Node.js project by using a command in the Visual Studio Code. Let me say, okay, like npm init economy. This command is used to create, or this is used to initiate a server, initiate a server file inside the directory you are willing to. First of all, you need to create a directory, and inside the directory you are going to run this command. So npm init high, init y, which is used to initiate the packagation file. So once you complete with this code or this command, this packagation file along with the log.json file, it will be created. So after creating these files, the raw or else the rough sketch of the backend project directory will be created. So inside this directory, further we will create some folders like source. Inside the source, we will create a folder like config. I will explain what is this config, controllers, and all the stuffs one by one. Okay. So inside this your project directory, here I have named my project directory as Azizun server. Azizun server, just for a creative name, I have chosen this as Azizun server. So inside this directory, I have created a folder called source, SRC. So inside the source folder, we have a lot of subfolders, subdirectories like config, controllers, docs, middleware, model, routes, service, utils, etc. So what is this config? Config represents a configurational files. which is essential to configure your server with third-party services or anything. This is called as config. So since we have this AWS Amazon Web Services, so like S3 database, S3 cloud database, cloud storage, and also we have this EC2 instance. So it has some configurations like to connect with the EC2 server. We need that username like bucket. We have this AWS S3, which has a bucket name. So it has a bucket. We need to connect with that bucket. We need the bucket name and bucket user, bucket ID, and bucket location. These likes of informations. So we need to provide from third-party service. We need to provide this information to the third-party service like this AWS. So it is just why it is mentioned here is AWS underscore config, which is going to configure. So here we have access ID to access the bucket, secret access key, and region. So what is this bucket? Imagine bucket is not a difficult one. A bucket is just simply a storage. Here it is called as bucket. Like you can similar to imagine like a Google Drive, we will call it as a drive. Inside the drive we have a lot of files, folders, and etc, etc. Here it is called as bucket. Simply imagine here's a bucket. So each and every bucket has their access ID, secret access key, and also the region where the bucket is stored. Whether it is, we have a lot of sub-regions in the world to access the bucket from. So we need the region to access the bucket like this. These are all configurations. And we have the MongoDB configuration, which is used to connect with the MongoDB database. Apart from this, I have mentioned all the port and other environmental variables to a variable name here. And one thing we need to connect with the WebSocket. This is the most important thing we need to do inside our backend service, because to share the files between the devices, we need to implement the WebSocket. Here, how the WebSocket is done, how the internal services between the two clients is done. First of all, we need to create a WebSocket connection to establish a connection between two devices or multiples of devices. They need to get into the WebSocket connection. So for this, we have created a function called create WebSocket server. So here http.create server is represented here to create a server, internal server within the server we are running here. So next WebSocket server will be created. Over there we have connection and a new WebSocket client connected, like message, close, error. Like if they are connected, it will provide a message, or else if the message is passed from one device to another, it will be passed over here. So if the connection is closed or else connection gets an error, like this, we have three kinds of promises here. So this comes under the config file. So we have what are the configurations needs to connect with the third-party services, or else within your server itself. These are all called as config, and these files will be stored in config directory. Next, we have controllers. Controllers is nothing but access. Like you are going to provide some access to the user by this server. Like we can make it as an, we can say it is simply an authentication. Like your applications have authentication, so each and every user will be authenticated and will be allowed into the application. So those kinds of things which makes control over the user. Hey user, you have only this functionality inside your app, or you have the access to the only this feature. Like this, these things comes under the controllers, like which will control the users to access some features inside the application. Here the controller here is authentication, which is like authenticating the user and make the user to get into the application. So for here we have register and login files, which is nothing but, so user will be registered or else user can log in into our application. How I have done this register and login functionalities, it's very much simple. So for this, I have stored my users' data inside the MongoDB. I didn't go with the third-party other service, other authentications like Google or any other like Apple or else phone number authentication like this at all. By the way, simple, I'm go with my own database itself, and I'm going to check whether the user is inside it. So I have collected the full name, username, email, contact number, password, and like these informations. and I will store this information inside the database. Once it is stored, a session will be created and a particular token will be generated for each and every successful user authenticated or user created. Like you can see, I have done something like a bgrid and gensol, like hashed password. What is this? Is simple. Before hitting into the database, user password must be hash, because of we have the trusted and untrusted persons inside our organization or else inside our application development, whether they will see their user's password and they have the access to their data. So simply to avoid these kinds of illegal perspectives, I have done Gensol or hashing the password to make the database secure for the users. So these information will be stored inside the MongoDB, and a token will be generated, and the token have a session. Session is simply nothing but how long this data will be stored inside the server as a session. Like the user can authenticate or else user can go to the application without any authentication. Like for example, first they have given the details informations like your full name, username, and they have created the account and they will get into the application. And the next time they don't need to insert the data once again, or else don't need to like type and mention the data and get to the application. Like we don't need, because of already we have collected the user data. So what we need to make, or else what we should use, that we need to make a session on this, like this user have created, and we are going to make some time for this. Like this user is created now, like this time now. From here to the next 7 days, user have the session availability. In between the session availability, user can easily log into the application. But after that, we can create a custom made function to delete the token or else to delete the session. If the session is deleted, user once again needs to authenticate themselves to get into the application. This is simple session management or else session authentication management inside each and every web application present in the websites. Here we have done the same thing inside our server. So token will be get, and the token will be stored in the session here for some amount of time. So this is the registration process, and next we will go for the login process. Like a user is authenticated and the session it will be over. So user once again needs to log in themselves. So here we will get the email and password. So user provided the email and the password, and the user provided email and password will be compare and check in the MongoDB database. Like we have 10 users inside the MongoDB who recently created an account inside our application. Now a level one time a previous user comes in and the session will be over. What they need to provide? They need to provide the email and password. This email and password will be compared and checked whether it is present in the database. If it is present, user has already created, and it will authenticate the user, and they will be make into the application. So here you can see it will find that email, whether the email is present over there, and the password is also checked. If the both the things is not over there, so simply the user is new to the application, we need to promote them. Hey, you are not an previous person to attend this application. You are not in it. You need to create an account to get into this. Or else, if the credentials doesn't match relevant to their email and password, we will throw invalid credentials based on this. Next. So once again, to make the session, because they have already, the session is over. That's why they are logging. So now they log in, a new session will be created now. So likewise, the authentication, which is in other terms alternatively called as controllers, represented in this backend. And we will move for the docs. Docs is not a simple one to log the application, and also to make the application well documented. To provide these APIs to the front end developer, we need a well documented structure. That's why we will go for the swag. Okay, first of all, what is this logger.js? What is logging? Simply, logging is nothing but you are going to run an application. In that application, you get some error, you get some warning, you get some like issues, bugs, a lot of things. You need to print that statement, to print it, we have that console.log itself. Well, then why we need to move to the separate custom-made logger? So if you log in, it will throw like a simple statement. You cannot identify where the error or else warning or issues. And also, l- storing the logs in that backend is very much essential, in my opinion, because of you can get the crash data of your server or else where the server speak by which functionality inside your backend service. So I think logging is very much important. If you go, if your application is have a users, active users, and you need to monitor application backend, simply you need a logging, better logging techniques to avoid a disaster before the crash, or else the disasters from your applications to the users. So here we have the logger.js to log different levels of. Here we have the critical, error, warn, info, and debug. Like you can say, according to these levels, the color will be implemented. If for the error and critical, it will be red, and for the warning, it will be yellow color, and then for the info, it will be green, and for the debug, it will be the blue color. So which is something, but the logged text will sheen in these colors. So we have created a logger. Next, they will log the info here. So basically, this is the default one. You can customize according to your need. And format.combine, colorize, timestamp. So whenever it prints, it will show the timestamp and level of the log and also some of the metadata. Like for running the backend service and you got an error, that error will be shown when this error occurred, and the error will be in the red color. And since it is in level of error, it will be the default red color. It will shows like this, and it will be printed in the terminal. Next, to store some logging, I have done the three kinds of logging, which is something, but all the logged data will be stored inside a file called app.log, warn.log, and error.log. So app.log stores all the logging data inside your server. Here I have implemented app.log, which all the logging things will be stored here. If you run the server and the server suddenly crashes at night, but in the morning you have checked for the server and you didn't know why the server crashed. So simply you can go for the app.log file and you can check the crash lytics. So there, which time and which function caused the server to crash. So it will be stored in the app.log, which will be helpful to analyze the crash lytics of your server. Next, warn.log and error.log. So these are two different files. Like you can store the warning logs in the separate warn.log, and the only the error related logs will be stored in the error.log files. And the application -date.log is represented to load the doc name, and the date pattern to store the data of that log, and the zipped file maximum size and maximum files you can store. So this is the logger. I think this is an essential and this is a must one for to log the things. Next, swagger.js. This swagger is simply nothing but to create a documentation of your APIs. Like imagine you have a lot of API, like 50 APIs. Yeah, these APIs are well presented in the Postman itself, but the front-end developer have some technical aspects of questions about the APIs. So they needed well-documented structure. Here the Swagger comes into help. So this Swagger is very much useful to provide a well-documented structure for your APIs present in whatever the server you're using. See here I have implemented the Swagger. So Swagger consists of a path like an API endpoint path. If you go for the API endpoint path, it will provide the well-documented structure about your API. Like you have authentication API. What is the parameter for authentication API, and what will be the response, or what will be the error? Like these at all, it will be shown in the Swagger. And the Swagger.yaml file is to create those front-end properties and other things. Let's go for one of the important thing called middleware. So this middleware is nothing but to tell it and authenticate user with the session. This is how this is useful to check the session continuously. So if the session is over, automatically it needs to mention the login. That's what here this auth objects. This is possible by JSON Web Token JWT simply. This is a method used to mention the middleware. Next we got the model. So model files are nothing but what is the structure of the data we are going to get from. Like we have WebSocket connections in between the client register. Here it is called as. So we are going to get the user ID, local IP, local port, and last scene. These are the essential information to make a connection between the WebSocket devices. Like we have text summary. This text summary is simply nothing but a feature I have included inside my backend. I will explain in a few minutes about this AI functionality. So we are going to name, size, summary, and upload by. These are the essential model files inside this. On the user register, full name, username, email, contact number. The main use case of this model or nothing but we are going to mention the type. We are going to mention the full name, what is its type, whether it is record or not. Like these informations is mentioned in the schema. Okay. Next we got routes here. Simply routes are nothing but the endpoints files, different kinds of endpoints we have. So we have endpoint like first we need to mention the authentication endpoints, which is present inside the user underscore route. So we have sign up, login, logout, and profile. These are our user authentication user related endpoints, which is mentioned on the user underscore route. And we have other routes too, like for the client to register for the WebSocket connection. Here we have register and info, two kinds of endpoints. And for the file transfer between those devices, we have three kind of endpoint. One is the file offer and the file offer acceptance. Like one device is going to offer the file or else any kind of data, and the other device is going to accept the offer. So we have two kinds of endpoint for this: the transfer acceptance and file offer. Further, we have the text summarization. Here, the big part comes in how we have implemented the text summarization. So already I have told you people, I have implemented the artificial intelligence functionality inside my application. So I have said this. How I have implemented the AI feature, and I have gone through some of the functionalities for the AI. So we have smart file recommendation, device periodization, auto file categorization, and a lot of other steps we have. So in this, I have take the small like text summarization of the files. So for this, I have used the Gemma 27 billion parameter model here. So what will happen? Here user will upload some files. So uploaded file is also temporarily stored inside the temp underscore for uploads. Simply this is right now it is an empty folder, but if user uploads some document data like or else files folders, it will be stored inside this temp underscore post. Because to implement cache inside our server to avoid uh, extensive API usages, I have stored simply these kinds of folder to share between the devices in the recent files. So the temp underscore for upload stores a temporary data or else temporary files and structures of the data user have uploaded inside our server. In the text and slash summarize this endpoint, we'll get a file. Next, we will get that file path as well as the file original name. Next, what we are going to do is that we are going to extract text from the file. This function is mentioned over here. Extract text from file. Here you can see in the file underscore processing. we have extract text from file. This is used to extract some text from the file. Like if you upload some PDF, inside the PDF you have several amount of text data. So to extract those text data, we have written in this function. So what we'll do, this function calls an another endpoint where we are going to run an Python fast API. You can see we are already running a REST API. Inside this, we are going to run a fast API by this Python. So summarize text, here we have a Python functionality, and we have the env inside the service directory. These are all services we are going to provide for our server. Okay, here we have extract PDF, extract docs, Excel sheets, and from the code, like we have different kinds of functionalities. Yeah, like because why I have implemented a lot of things, because the user will have different kinds of files. They will upload any kind of file. Am I right? So first here we will analyze if the file is a text or is any kind of file. It will analyze with these extensions whether the file is like txt, md, like any kind of this markup extension files, or else it is whether it's a coding file. Because for the coding we have different kinds of extraction and different kind of processing. That's why I'm saying here. Okay, so here it will extract the file from the PDF, and it will store the text data like in a variable called text. You can see. So summarized text will be returned here as a JSON from the summary key. So it will be like a lengthy of paragraph. Like if you provide a PDF, it will analyze the PDF, it will get the text or else extract the whatever, it will be a number of lines, gap between whatever may be, it will extract the text. Once it will extract the text, it will return here. So accordingly, in between here, there are a lot of functions to analyze whether it's a PDF. We have a PDF function for this. Or if it's a TXT file, we have a function for this. And for the docs, Excel sheets, and we have for the code. If it is a code file, like any kind of code, Python, JavaScript, TypeScript, Java, like any kind of thing. So it will analyze the file type, and automatically it will provide the extracted code if it is a code file. If it is a Word or else any kind of text related files, it will return the text where it is extracted. Next, here you see the file processing. The extracted text will be returned here. So simply this this entire thing is running as a fast API. Inside the fast API, you can see app.route/summarize. It is a post method. This file summarize underscore file. This function, which is nothing but initially it will run this. You need to run this Python fast API inside the local server. So this API endpoint returns what? This API endpoint return a summary or else a paragraph of data. So we are going to get that. So axios.post. So in this 500/summarize endpoint for the fast API, so headers will be showed and maximum body length it will be the infinite one for the large amount of files. So after getting information from this endpoint will return a summary key which stores a paragraphs of data about the file. So this will be shown here. So here this file content will make the extracted file. So once we get the file summary, it will be passed to the text summary schema. Where this get file summary comes from, you will have a doubt where this comes from. So we have this extract text from file. So we have extracted text file. How the summary has happened? The summary has happened in this Gemini underscore service. Here you have get file summary, a function to summarize that extracted text. So first we have the PDF data. From that PDF data, we extracted some of the words, and that word here passed to the model. Here we have integrated the model. So here we have used a vertex A, project ID, and locations is also given as a config. These are informations or configuration informations. And the generative model also we have here, the vertex generative model id is also provided, and maximum number of token it has had. So for this token it will return in 150 words approximately. It may be plus or minus according to the condition. And the temperature resembles the creativity or else the problem solving mind of that model. So zero point 0.7 goes for the well defined one, some randomness of the text. Next we have the sampling stages. And also for the safety reasons, because the user may in some conditions will upload some kind of like some kind of file where it will be have some violence in it, or like any kind of information, it will be ignored by this model, by the safety settings. So here the maximum input length must be the 10,000, so it will get that string. And the prompt here is defaultly given us like summarize the following document content coincidentally in the about 100 to 200 words. Focusing, this is a default prompt. So whatever the file is extracted, this font prompt will be used for each and everything. So once it gets the prompt, and the model will start to react for this, and it will provide the response. The response will be returned from this get file summary function here. So here the text summary will be provided, and for which kind of file, the file name and the file size, and the user ID where the user is uploaded this file. So this is for the text summarization of the file. Next, we have these AWS storage, client, file, and user, the four kinds of route API directory, which going to be combined in one file called route.js. Here we have /auth /AWS /client /notify. So we have the four kinds of endpoint for the four different API routes. So this is more over my application, and these all the things will be combined over here inside the server.js file. So here we have included all the things which is essential for to run the server. I hope you people have get an understanding about this. I have given this project inside the GitHub. Inside one of my repositories, I have mentioned here. You can see as is in server. You can have a better glance. Currently it is in the private. I will soon make it as a public one once all the coding is done. And hey guys, if you're new to my channel, please provide a subscribe, which will encourage me to do a lot of videos like this about the projects I'm going to done. And also, if you're a person willing to learn mobile app development, comment below like Flutter development in the comment section. I can catch you to the development, and then I can provide some courses for you to peoples. We will catch up in the next line. Until then, bye.